Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome to some TikToks where I want to see what are some boots on the ground's opinions of the USA versus Canada. You know, we see these large scale news corporations and long form videos, but I want to see what are the nuanced little differences.
Here are 4 differences between the US and Canada that will blow your mind from a Canadian who used to work in the US for 8 years.
Ooh, okay.
Number 1, 5-pin bowling. Small, little ball, 5 pins, only in Canada. The US does not have this.
No. Before he even goes any further, I just want to be trying to understand 5-pin bowling. I mean, I guess what is it? 3, 2, 1? Yeah, no, that's 6-pin. How do you have 5-pin? 1, 2, 2? I don't know. I don't even know how you could possibly be having 5-pin. Really, like I said, it's either 6-pin or 10-pin. And then it goes on from there as you have those integers just go up. But then I've also never heard of anything but 10-pin bowling. It's not like anyone goes, do you want to go bowling? And they go, which one though? Because I don't do 5-pin, I only do 10-pin, I only do 10-pin, I only do 5-pin. Whatever it may be, people don't go, there's a bit of a nuance there. No, it's 10-pin bowling and that's it. And so Canada's just, I guess, making mini putt-putt, but for bowling?
Americans look at you like you have 5 heads when you tell them about this thing. But it's what I grew up playing. Number 2, corn pop cereal in Canada is totally different than corn pop cereal in the US. The US are flat, the Canadians are round and more crunchy. Theirs tastes very different, it's very bland, and the Canadians is much more sugary, and one of my favorite cereals growing up.
Wow.
It's so weird. Number 3, Kraft peanut butter doesn't exist in the United States. It's only in Canada. They got Kraft other stuff, like mac and cheese. They don't call it KD though. But yeah, they don't have it. Number 4, you know those little milk packs you get when you order coffee at like a restaurant and you open it up and you pour a little milk in there? The US does not have these 2% milk packs. It totally cannot find them. And I'm talking 2% milk, not just cream. Like creamers are all over the place. What other?
See, even that, the fact that they have creamers was never a thing that I even knew about until I started this entire thing going, it was only ever milk. Yes, if someone says they want, I guess, cream in their coffee, that would be such an American thing to be hearing about, but I would never know anyone that would put cream or anything but straight milk or some milk variety in their coffees. And so to be hearing that they have no milk in the little tiny things, I'm imagining what he's talking about is like a tiny little, not even shot glass, it's like a quarter of a shot glass sized thing with a blue lid. That's exactly what I'm imagining. I think they're long life milk, so they can be in the fridge, out of the fridge, whatever it may be, but they don't have it, and I wonder why that is. I mean, I feel as though with pop culture, the US is always just about having black coffee. What are they called? Diners? The lady in the diner just comes out with the old stale pot of coffee and pours a pot of black coffee. Is it instant? Is it even worse than instant? I don't know. Whatever it is, they are certainly doing a few things differently, considering, like I said, this is all about the niches, and this video went straight to the heart of the niches, just going, okay, they don't have Kraft peanut butter. What do they have then? I mean, I don't know what Australia has. I don't know. Is it Kraft? I think there's obviously going to be a few different brands, but if someone had asked me where does Kraft come from, I just would have said probably the USA or maybe the UK, and so for them to not be having it seems weird, and in that regard it must be from the UK. But then to be having Kraft mac and cheese be a massive thing in the US, from everything I've ever heard, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm from Canada.
I'm from the US, and we're gonna do a little pronunciation game. Let's see how this goes.
Because he always calls me out on all the words I say. Pasta.
Pasta.
Mazda.
Mazdas.
Deckle.
Decal, like a window decal.
Deckle.
Okay. Deckle.
Never heard that one before. Come on.
Niche.
I'll agree. I like niche now. In the US, it was niche, but
Niche?
I
Oh,
like
Adult.
adult.
Oh. Adult?
It's an adult.
No way. Come on. Adult.
No.
Caramel.
Caramel.
I say caramel.
Zed.
No way. I still can't do that one. Z.
Zed. I learned Zed.
Z. I learned Z.
No.
I'm from Canada.
No. I mean, the fact that he's calling her out on them never makes sense. The fact that you can go, oh, that's different, that's one thing, but to be saying someone is wrong in their pronunciation, unless they're saying that gobbledygook is phone, then sure. But if it's just a pronunciation difference about how you actually hit each syllable, or the pronunciation and accent placed on each vowel, whatever it may be, you can't really be wrong. You can be different, but you can't be wrong. I mean, especially often, if they are living in the US and he is calling her out, that's the thing that you can never stand. I mean, we don't know here. I don't think they don't seemingly say, but to be fair, they were definitely along the lines that I would have thought about, from the caramel being the caramel and the adult. What did he say? That adult versus adult. Once again, it's just very minute little differences. But if someone did say that, you go, I can tell where you're from, because you're just either taking some British lean to it, or you're taking some of your own lean to it, or whatever it may be. It's just amazing how the same word can be said differently in so many ways. The one that I was surprised about most, though, I think, was this one, being decal. Like, that's almost to the point where you're not pronouncing it correctly. Just being DECLE is almost how they're pronouncing it, just like completely getting rid of the A. I don't know if I've ever heard that word pronounced in a non-American form, decal. But like I said, I think that one caught me off guard the most, and according to the comments, it also caught them off guard the most.
So when I was younger, I dated a Canadian woman, and I have a lot of friends in Canada because I used to visit there a lot. One of the things I've noticed about Canadians is a lot of them would tell me that they don't think that Canada has an identity or something like that. Right. They look around and they see there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of different ethnic groups, a lot of cultures. I think growing up when we would take family car trips and we'd drive through Canada, on the way to or from Niagara Falls or something like that. I kind of thought Canada was not very different from the U.S.
Fair.
Most of Canada speaks English, and in general, they didn't seem that different. But when I actually dated someone who was Canadian, and I spent a lot of time with my Canadian friends, I realized it really is very different up there.
Interesting.
I know people from Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, even Nova Scotia, Halifax. There is very much a Canadian identity. They may not perceive it, or a lot of them may not perceive it that way, but as an American, the contrast is very, very strong once you actually spend time with Canadians.
There we go. That right there has to be one of the most perfect examples of relative culture that I've ever heard of. Just going, okay, as you're touring around, you don't really think there's much of it. You're all just North America. You all speak English. Like I said, you're all British colonies to some degree. And all of that just gets rolled into one big happy family. But then when you do start digging into more particulars, like we've seen so far with pronunciation and culture and anything else, I'm sure that once you start dating someone from there, it would start to just hit you slowly, just the waves upon waves of going, that's different. Newfoundland is different to Montreal or Quebec or whatever you want to be lumping and comparing together. They are going to be having differences. But if you're just from Canada, then you go, there is no difference. In the same way that Australia doesn't really have that diverse culture where you have the Midwest and you have the East Coast and the West Coast and none of those kind of divides, where there hasn't even been enough time for accents to form. Like, you look at the UK, for goodness sake, and the amount of different accents they have in such a compact country is incredible. I don't know of any other countries like that. Maybe somewhere like India, maybe China, but I think that's more language-based differences, let alone just the same language with accents. There's not too many other places that I'm sure could compete with all of the UK. And so it's all relative, whether you're from the UK and so you go to Canada and you go, well, everyone does speak the same, but then you're from Canada and you go to the US and go, wow, look at all this variation. I think that's up to writing downtown. This is what you're catching the tram or whatever they're called.
Should I move here?
Ooh, big call. I mean, some people are going to be absolutely disagreeing with you, and some people are going to be absolutely agreeing with you, just saying that one country is better, one country is worse, whatever it may be. Just like the last one, it's all relative, and you can have your own opinion, and that's just fine and dandy. But to be making that decision in 5 minutes, that's pretty gung-ho. I mean, it takes a little bit more than 5 minutes, I think, to be appreciating and actually feeling the impact of all the nuances of any country. Whether you like Tim Hortons or not, there's only so much you can ever get out of that one place. You might go, wow, this is fantastic, and the trams are fantastic, but I just can't deal with the cold because I'm from Texas, or whatever it may be. You can go there in the summer, go there in the winter, and have completely different experiences, let alone the culture, going around, but having to do with the French aspect. Some people might love it, and some people might hate it. Some people might love this, some people might hate that. But like I said, 5 minutes in Toronto, or anywhere in the world, I think you just need to be pulling it back a little bit. Plum sauce on chips. Or chicken? What is that? Plum sauce. I think I want to see that bottle. I feel like... I've never seen the bottle like that, but I feel like you can get that from fast food restaurants. Like, is it KFC and Macca's and all those? They can sometimes have plum sauces. I mean, people have plum sauces with pork? Is that right? Maybe, but either way, I don't believe I've ever seen a bottle like that. People are generally going to be making it, or like I said, getting it from fast food restaurants. Never having it with chicken and chips, that's for sure. But the kind of sugary sweetness, almost, it's like a liquidy jam almost, I guess, is what it's going on there. Makes sense.
I've lived in Utah and I've lived in Washington. I've lived in Alberta and I've lived in BC. The biggest difference that I can tell from country to country as far as driving goes, if a light turns yellow and you're in that questionable spot, Americans will zoom through it every single time, like 99.99% of the time. Canadians, if you're in that questionable spot, will do everything in their power. They'll slam on their brakes. They will make sure they stop before the line. I don't know why. Maybe it's the traffic cameras in Canada. I don't know.
Okay.
Today I went over the border, the light turned yellow and I'm like, do I stop? Do I go? Do I stop? I genuinely have to remember what country I'm in and how to handle a yellow light. Anyone caught on to this, or is it just me?
Ooh, interesting. And that would also especially be problematic if you're trying to not be that person on the road, but you are traveling between countries and you are living in one and then swapping over there and you're just reverting back to your traditional ways. It's going to be a little bit difficult because, I mean, I guess in the US, you might be yelled at for stopping in a red light, but people aren't going to be thinking that you're a bad person for doing it, I don't think. I mean, they might get angry if they rear end you, but that's their problem. Realistically, we're in Canada. If you go speeding through that, I don't know, I feel like that's just a tarnishing on your name. But if there is actually a difference, if anyone can let me know why they think that is, that'd be fantastic. Is it just a cultural thing? Is it because of cops and traffic lights? Or is it snow and ice? Because generally, I mean, that would make, I feel like people go through them so they don't cause a pileup. Whatever it may be, I guess it is just good to know. So, like I said, you don't end up being that person in either side.
Can I get a pop, please?
Oh,
What?
God.
Sorry, I
A
totally
balloon?
forgot. Can I get a soda? Yeah, absolutely. What kind do you want? Coke. Sure,
Okay.
what kind? Oh, Coke. I said Coke.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, but what kind?
Okay.
Coke? Like the Coke?
No, but which
Okay, but
one?
what kind? Like root beer, Mountain Dew, cream soda? What's happening right now?
Oh. Wait. That's not... What? Huh? She threw me for a loop. Wait. She said, can I have a Coke? And then she said, which one? And in my mind, I'm going, do you want a Coke Zero? Do you want a Coke normal? Do you want a Coke? I don't know. They keep changing all the names, but there was like Zero, Max. No, that's Pepsi Max. I don't know. They're all mixed in there, and that's what I thought that she was going to be talking about. But they were using Coke as the entire umbrella of all of the soft drinks. What? What? I mean, I guess I can understand the whole pop and soda situation. If someone said pop in Australia and someone's brain wasn't really in it because they're all day or day in, day out, they're just dealing with, oh, can I have a soft drink, please? Then you'd be going, okay, a pop, like a popsicle or a balloon? What do you want? But then you go, okay, no, you want that. But then what do you want? And if someone said a Coke, it'd be straight on the money. Not then having to dissect it again, going a Mountain Dew is not a Coke. Like, it's that simple. It's literally in the word. And it's not like they make all Mountain Dews, or at least according to anything I'm seeing here, it's not like they're making all these different ones. I mean, I did see that they made Fanta, was it? And, I mean, they're not going to have Pepsi, because Pepsi's its own thing. But if they somehow made all the ones under their umbrella, that would be the only possible way that I go, okay, you're kind of being a little bit ambiguous, but I guess it is what it is. But they don't. What? So if someone said, I want a Fanta, you'd say, no. Do you want a Mountain Dew? No. Why is it interchangeable only one way?
Things Canadians do right, part 2, because you guys loved part 1 so much and the list goes on and on. If you missed part 1, I'm American. I've lived in Canada off and on for like 5 years, so totaling about 3 years. These are just things I've picked up on that Canadians do right, and I figured, why not share them with my fellow Americans? Number 1, mat leave. I'm sorry, but if you're a mother, you deserve mat leave. I don't care how the baby got to you. You deserve 52 weeks of paid mat leave. And if I'm not mistaken, mothers and fathers can split the 52 weeks, which I just think is absolutely fascinating. I think it really does affect the quality of life here, and that's why it's like rated number 1 or number 2 country to live in the world. Next up, e-transfer. I don't know why in America we're a bit behind on payment forms and methods. What I do know is that Canada was tapping their cards a lot sooner than we were. And now I know that they're all e-transferring each other to their email addresses that are connected to their bank accounts, and it just like auto deposits into a bank account. And Americans are sitting over here using Venmo and PayPal and Zelle still.
See, I've never understood that. people are always using these platforms. Like she said, what is it, PayPal and Venmo, I believe, is the big... Cash App, is that right? Cash App? These ones that I hear about, but I'm like, why? What are they actually good for? Why don't you just transfer that person straight? And then I realized that you couldn't do that. And I was going, well, then how would you people get paid? Like, are people getting paid in checks, and then you take that to the bank, and the bank has to do the transaction? What is a direct deposit? Like, is that a thing? I have no idea how the US, being allegedly, or well, being technically the biggest economy, but being so often the most advanced economy, so to say, in terms of people's mindset, because they're the biggest, is still living in like the 1800s with how they're just dealing with their money person to person. How are you possibly dealing with that? You have no advancements, you're just using technology, but not actually changing the method. You go, okay, we have to go through this back door and then round the corner and then do a dog leg, and then finally the money is actually in their account, instead of, like she said, just directly depositing bank to bank, person to person. Even now, I mean, I'm sure every country calls it differently, but like she said, e-transfers directly using email addresses. In Australia, you can do, what is it, Pay ID, which is either phone number or email address, which is linked to your bank account, which then you can just give someone that, and if they send money through the entire system, then it will just go straight there. There's not like, oh, put in your account number, put in your BSB. I mean, that sounds more advanced than what the US to do, but they just can't even do it. I don't understand. It's so crazy. Also, the fact that she said that they could split the maternity leave, the 52 weeks, which sounds longer than Australia. I don't know. Either way, 52 weeks split between both parents. That's crazy. I don't know I don't think anyone's ever told me that you can do that in Australia. I mean, there is maternity leave, but I don't think you can split it up however you want. That's pretty cool, but crazy.
Feeling safe sending kids to school. That's very self-explanatory. I should not have to elaborate here. Next up, Tim Hortons. Don't tell me that Dunkin' Donuts is better than Tim Hortons. Don't do it. Like, being able to order a double-double knowing it's made perfect every single time. An iced cap. I freaking love my Farmer's Wrap on an everything bagel. My daughters go crazy over Timbits. Superior.
Jesus.
Next up, all dressed chips. They are top tier chip, okay? Don't tell me that you like ketchup chips. I will go American on you and tell you that they should be illegal. They're disgusting.
Once again, that's a very, very hot take, which I'm sure is bound to upset somebody, or at least just go, what are you talking about? They're my favorite. They're the best. They're the one that I have every single week. They're the one that I just crave this time, that time, whatever it may be, whether it be ketchup, honey soy chicken, or just straight up all dressed. They're all the fabled legendary chips, and half of them I've never even had either the privilege or the opposite of privilege of not having. Same thing goes for Tim Hortons and all the doubles and triples, of which all of that kind of stuff I couldn't care less about. But the Timbits and all the different flavors and varieties and everything like that, I think just needs to be had at some point.
The last two go hand in hand. The way that Canadians say cheers is like their salutation. It's just like the cutest thing. I want to hug every single one of you that says cheers, cheers. And like, obviously you guys cheers beers all the time, but you guys say cheers as a salutation everywhere we go. And they're also the nicest people.
See, that kind of thing just makes me wonder, where is cheers originally coming from? Is it a British thing if both Australia and Canada have both adopted it and in a big way just use it in their vernacular? But I feel like, are there that many British people I've ever heard say it? Yes and no, maybe. I mean, like she said, in the beer alcoholic sense, but I don't know. Is it just a general goodbye? I feel as though Canada and definitely Australia have just taken that on board and sprinted that 100 meters down to the finish line to the modern day, just running all the way with it, because you can use it in so many different ways. Oh, butter tart. Right. Back for seconds, of course. Yep, fair enough. And I'm just trying to look. It looks fairly empty, to be fair. And I feel like I have seen them be a little bit more full than that. But hey, all of the, I mean, honestly, just for any worldwide treat, whether it be Indian, Chinese, Ugandan, Canadian, British, anything, if they're looking like that and they're looking just kind of some sweetie, eggy something, everyone's going to have their own kind of take on it, and not every single person is going to love every single thing, but there's so many of them that realistically people can't go wrong. But I have heard that the Canadian specials, being the Nanaimo bars and the butter tarts and a whole smattering of others, do hit pretty hard. And I do wonder why that is, and why is it, I mean, he said non-Canadians, but this is obviously for the USA, and why is it so electrifying, so to say? He literally had a certain experience, let's say, just from the butter tart, and which it wasn't even, like I said, that full. And it's a very, very simple ingredients list, I believe. And so what is it, especially like I said, from the USA's perspective, the land of the sweet and sugary and everything like that, that hits so hard? There we go. I just wanted to look up the recipe quickly to see if I was to attempt to make it, would Australia even stock everything that I would need? Is there anything random? I mean, maple syrup we've got, salt we've got, vanilla, melted butter. I mean, melted butter and butter. It feels like you could kind of combine those into one. I have heard that some people just like pecans and some people like raisins and maybe a bit of a mixture. The apple cider vinegar, though, is the only thing that's standing out to me, is going, I don't know how common that is. I believe that we would be able to get it, but really, I don't know. That's such a tiny amount that I don't know if you can really get it and justify a $4,000 bottle of apple cider vinegar. Yeah, but look, if it's needed, it's needed. And if it does go ahead and give that little bit of extra kick or the electricity feeling or whatever it may be, I guess it would be worth it for such a relatively simple and hopefully easy to make thing.
I just need to make sure.
Gym class.
Okay. I need to make sure that what you told me is correct, okay?
What?
So, there's a game that you play, right? Where you're set up like a baseball diamond, but you have a ball instead, and you pitch the ball, and the person at home base kicks the ball, and you try to run around the diamond like you would in baseball. Mm-hmm. The difference being that you're not hitting the ball with the bat, you're kicking it.
Right.
That's kickball.
Soccer,
Okay.
baseball.
That's kickball.
Soccer, baseball.
There's no fucking way that Canadians call this soccer baseball.
Soccer baseball. What?
That has to be a lie.
I mean, I guess I can understand where they're coming from. I do want to know what they're using. Are they using a soccer ball? I mean, maybe it's not an identical game. Are you using a different ball? If you're having kickball being using a soccer ball compared to soccer baseball, are you using literally a soccer ball versus, I don't know, more like a handball or a volleyball or something like that? To be fair, Australians virtually never play any form of the baseball diamondy thing. There are a couple of ones that are around, and at school you might kind of do it to have, I don't know, a cultural experience of another sport, but realistically no one's going out there playing it. Some schools offer softball, but nobody offers baseball. I don't know why. I guess no one's going to play it. If someone's going to be playing it, we're going to be playing cricket. If we're going to be having a bat and ball sport, then you're going to be going to tennis, and then you're going to be going into all the different footballs from there. But to be having the kickball versus soccer baseball, I can understand how that would grind your gears. And hey, like I said, all of these videos have just been about the nuanced differences, and whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether you love them or not. It makes the two countries just a little bit dissimilar. You know, they're not one and the same. People say that Canada is just the USA's little cousin or the worst one or the better one, whatever it may be, but they are still different and better in their own which way. And that's what's fantastic about both of them. You can just go, no, I do like this one. And you can move there if you really want to, because they are so similar that people can get around and get by and have a beautiful normal life, but at the same time just really appreciate the little things.